Guardian Angel, an Angelica Dale mystery by P.K. Armstrong. Chapter 7. Later, reviewing the police report, Angel found some strange details. First, the attack took place at 3:30 in the afternoon. Violet was not sexually assaulted, but attacking her was a crime that needed privacy and time, even if the perpetrator didn't want to take extra time with the victim. This guy was pretty bold, gaining the school grounds in broad daylight. Did he want to hurt a little girl that bad? A brief, small, worrying thought started to bother Angel in the back of her mind. It was so small and brief that she was unable to grasp a hold of it. Maybe it would become clear after she spoke with Violet. Angel checked the local news online every morning, especially when she was working a case. She was taught by her training officer that a good investigator always knew what was going on in the community. You never knew when crimes were connected. She had developed a habit of looking at what the various investigative units were working on and often found links to her own investigations. Angel noted Violet's assault kept moving further and further away from the front page. It was now on page 6. Angel knew normally Ella would call the newspaper and read them the riot act, but to protect Violet's privacy, she was willing to let it go as long as the police hadn't lost impetus to solve the crime. Angel had made it to the financial section and noticed Ella Sinclair had beat out Rain Holdings and finally closed a deal for land just outside of the city limits. If she remembered correctly, that land had been the subject of some vigorous bidding for almost 8 months. Ella Sinclair's favorite developments were shopping centers with a neighborhood market as the anchor. She would then fill up the retail slots with cafes and hip eateries, antique shops, clothing boutiques, and other local craftsmen hawking their goods. Her choices always created foot traffic that encouraged the community to linger, and the small businesses thrived. This new development was expected to be a boon to the local economy, according to the newspaper. There will be a gala to celebrate the recent business expansions within and close to the city of Filmore. One of the largest expansions is a land purchase deal successfully negotiated a few months ago, in September, by Mrs. Ella Sinclair with John Brown, age 91, the last remaining descendant of the Brown Gainsby family. The deal includes 5.6 acres of unincorporated land just south of Filmore. Mrs. Sinclair intends to provide affordable middle-class housing, a permanent farmer's market, a local grocery, and some small boutique-style stores. She logged off her computer and decided it was a good time to head over and attempt to interview Violet. The streets on the east side of town were filled with bubblegum wrappers, grocery store bags, and soda bottles that wouldn't dare fall on the better side of town. Violet and her mother, Brandy, lived in a walk-up apartment over a small market in one of the poorest neighborhoods in town. After doing some background work, Angel learned that Brandy's work history was spotty at best, but mostly non-existent. It seems since she was 16 years old, she supported herself mainly through a succession of bad relationships with men that did not mind footing the bill as long as she was willing to put up with some breaks and bruises every now and then. She also had a rap sheet that highlighted a history of petty thefts, con jobs, and simple assaults. Angel had done the math, and it seemed that Violet came along when Brandy was just 18 years old, but the father's identity and location were unknown. Violet's school records show in her short 12 years she had attended 10 separate schools. Angel checked the outer door. The lock was broken, and pushed the door open with her foot. Pausing to let her eyes adjust to the dim light, she started up the stairway. The stairs were a tight fit, the hallway stuffy from a lack of free-flowing air. Angel knocked on the door and waited. The door swung open, and an overly made-up face poked around the door jamb. "Who are you?" Thanks to the picture of Brandy Detective Roland so generously provided Angel, she knew exactly who she was speaking to. "Hello, I'm Angelica," offering her business card. "I've been asked to look into your daughter's attack." "The police tried talking to her and got nowhere. She's absolutely hopeless. All this attention is not good for her. Makes her think she's more important than she is." Brandy opened the door a little wider and stared at Angel, her eyes narrowing. "Well, you certainly aren't as hot as the detective what's-his-name," she whined. Angel watched as she turned to a mirror in the hallway and touched her hair, flinging it over her shoulder. "But at least you aren't some old busybody like the social worker at the hospital." Brandy swung the door open fully. "I guess you might as well come in." Angel stepped inside the entryway and glanced around, summing up her surroundings without seeming to do so. Brandy's claim to fame would certainly never be her housekeeping skills. Angel noticed immediately as she stepped off the sticky entryway linoleum onto a carpet that was matted down with dirt and pet hair. The walls were stained with brown, possibly due to Brandy being a chain smoker. The air was thick and stale, a mixture of cigarette smoke, grease, and week-old kitchen trash. Brandy offered her a seat. Angel decided the wooden kitchen chair would be the best bet. "Excuse the mess." Brandy dismissed the home with a wave of her hand. "Violet walks around moping like she can't do anything around this house, and I have to deal with the phone ringing and police knocking." "I understand the man hurt her pretty badly," Angel began. "She's fine," Brandy went on. "The hospital fixed her all up and even gave her those really good painkillers, but I took care of those." Brandy snickered a bit. "Aspirin will work for a little girl like her." Angel wondered if her shock and disbelief over Brandy's words and behavior were showing on her face. If so, it didn't faze her. Brandy, once again with a dismissive hand gesture, pointed to a short hallway which ended with 2 steps leading to a semi-attic room. "I suppose you might as well go talk to her. She's in her room," Brandy conceded. Violet was a small girl. From her school records, her teachers describe her as a good student who was quiet, shy, and reserved. Angel knocked and, after waiting a few seconds for an answer, walked slowly into the room. Curled up on her bed, she looked even smaller than her 4-foot 8-inch, 70-pound frame. Her face was drawn and pale, her eyes wide with shock and pain. Someone had tried to even out her butchered hair. "Hi, my name is Angel." Angel stood in the doorway and waited, but Violet did not acknowledge her presence. Angel left the door to her room slightly ajar and moved her white desk chair closer to the bed. Sitting quietly for a moment, Angel could hear the wind blowing outside. The branches of the tree were lightly scraping the window. They sat there, just like that, for about 10 minutes. When she sat down, she noticed Violet's breath had quickened. It was now coming slower, more methodical. When she thought it was even again, she started to speak. But Violet spoke first.
"Who are you?"
"My name is Angel," she repeated. "Mrs. Ellis Sinclair was worried about you and asked me to see if I could help." Violet scooted to the edge of the bed and looked up at Angel, large tears beginning to roll slowly down her face.
That man, he hurt me."
"I know, sweetie." Angel leaned forward. "I would like you to tell me about it if that's okay. Do you think you can?" Violet shook her head vigorously, and Angel resumed her position, perched on the little white chair, and sat again, waiting. But only for a few seconds. With a deep sigh, Violet began again. "I used to like living at school," Violet said in a small voice. "But now I can't. Mommy said I can't go back. Maybe not right now." "No!" Violet said louder. "I can never go back. You have to appreciate it when Mommy gives you things. If you don't, she takes them away." "Is that what Mommy told you?" "I don't think I want to go back there," Violet whispered, as more tears streamed down her face. Angel decided to try a question. "Did you wake up on time that day, or were you late?" Violet thought a minute, and at first Angel didn't think she was going to answer. "My alarm goes off exactly at 7 a.m. I got up and was dressed in time to go to the cafeteria with my friend." Angel decided to try another question. "What did you have for breakfast?" Violet looked at her curiously and shrugged. "Cereal and milk." "What's your first class?" "Math." Angel rolled her eyes. "Ugh, I hate math." Violet shrugged. "Me too at first, but it's getting better. We were learning percentages, and they aren't so bad. I got 20 out of 25 on my test, so my teacher had me put it in my star folder, 'cause it's an improvement." Angel smiled at her slight lisp. "What's your next class?" "Next, I have reading, and then we have study time before lunch." Angel nodded. Let's see then. You probably have recess? At least I had recess after lunch when I went there." "You went to Sinclair's?" For the first time, Angel saw Violet perk up a little bit. "That must have been a really long time ago." "Yes, it was. We had English after recess, which I was pretty good at. Then science was my last class before I went home." "You lived out?" Violet asked. "Yes, I lived at home with my parents. My dad would drop me off at school every day." Angel paused. "You live on the grounds." She paused briefly and decided to try a more pointed question. Violet, the day the man hurt you, were you going back to the dormitory because classes were over? Violet's head dropped, and the slight shaking Angel saw in her hands turned into a pronounced tremor. Angel leaned forward again and took her hand. Violet squeezed it as if to rid herself of the physical pain and the emotional terror. It's okay. You're safe now. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. Violet acted as if she didn't hear her eyes taking on a glassy, faraway look.
Classes were over, and I was going to take my backpack to my room and go to the gym for sports.
Do you change into gym clothes before that, or do you wait until you come back?
I change after I come back.
Do you take the same path back to your room each day? Violet thought for a moment.
Yes, if I am going back to my room, but I don't go back to my room after school each day. Sometimes I go to the cafeteria for a snack first, or I help Mrs. Timmons with mail. If only I...
Violet's voice faded out. Angel squeezed Violet's hand. If only you what?
My friends Chrissy and Tonya were going back to the dormitory. If only I had gone with one of them.
Angel's heart quickened, but she controlled her voice. Chrissy and Tonya didn't go back together?
No.
Violet answered.
Chrissy left first because she finished straightening her desk first. You have to make sure your desk is clean and everything is put away before you leave. Tonya left after her, but I had to pick up the little bits of paper for my project, so I wasn't ready yet.
Do you remember how long in between? And after Violet's questioning look, Tonya left, and then do you remember how long until you left?
I don't know.
Violet's voice was getting higher with anxiety. Angel tried again.
Well, when you left,
Did you hurry because you thought you could catch up with Tonya? Violet stopped and then looked at her.
I didn't hurry. There was no way I could catch up with Tonya. At least, that's what I thought.
She glanced at Angel.
I stopped at the gray rock, though, and looked around because I thought I caught up with her.
What made you think that?
I heard a noise in the bushes. I thought Tonya was hiding and was going to jump out and try to scare me.
Violet swallowed hard.
But it wasn't Tonya who was in the bushes,
she said on a whisper. More tears began slowly at first, and then in a rush. Violet started trying to gasp for air. Angel offered the hand Violet had let go, and Violet squeezed it hard again. Just try to take a few normal breaths. There's no rush. You're doing just fine, Violet. Angel waited while Violet tried to get control of her breathing. When she had, she asked, "What happened next?"
I called out Tonya's name because, like I said, I thought she was playing. She never came out, so I kept walking.
Violet began shaking, and Angel squeezed her hand again. "Just squeeze my hand when you get scared." Violet squeezed Angel's hand for a few seconds.
I had just passed the turtle rock.
Violet tried to swallow.
I never really saw him. I heard leaves moving again, and I hurried. He grabbed me and put his stinky hand over my mouth.
Violet's eyes started to get wider with remembrance.
He whispered in my ear and told me he was going to kill me if I screamed. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even breathe with his stinky hand over my mouth. I was wiggling and kicking and trying to get away, but he held me tighter. He was too strong. Too strong.
Violet's body began heaving with her sobs. Angel slid over onto the bed and put her arms around Violet. Violet held on so tight Angel could hardly breathe. "It's okay, Violet. It's okay." Violet's grip relaxed and then released. Angel moved Violet so she could sit on her lap and encircle her in a light embrace. Violet rested her head where Angel's shoulder and neck met. "Violet, you are a brave little girl. The teachers said they found you because you cried out. You did just what you should." Violet's breathing was returning to normal again. "Can you answer one last question for me?" Violet nodded against Angel's chest. "You said he had stinky hands. What did they smell like?"
Like the sticky stuff they put on the playground at school.